knots 882. the ice exists, really dry not, that's not good enough. But the fight to the end is quite a bit. So you're going to have to move the there it goes. I should let it go from a BFE.
Engine 13 knots headset, sir. Engine 13 knots headset, sir.
More minutes of pumping.
Roger, sir.
149.
149.
Into the hit 13.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. He
owes me a brew. All you people on OT review, he owed me a brew.
Bullshit, we never bet.
You were incorrect. Misinformed, incorrect, basically wrong.
Engine hit 14 knots.
Engine hit 14 knots. 14 knots headset, sir.
How long is it going to take this?
Engine hit 13 and 3/4 knots.
Engine hit 13 and 3/4 knots.
6151.
6151. 6151. Don't say that, bro.
Are these ones going to come out, Dougie? You got to film me now, what? Got the lens cover on?
Engine hit 13 and 3/4 knots.
Engine hit 13 3/4 knots. 13 3/4 knots headset, sir.
The slim kids. Hi, Bob. I'm taller than these cunts. Oh, yeah, right.
6150. Engine hit 13 and 1/4 knots.
Engine
And Dutchy there doing nothing. Seems to be a lot less people than what there were here when we first started the evolution.
Yes, because they're not required.
Yes. Oh right, Tony tells me they're not required. So
You only need about 5 or 6 blokes to send the span wire back.
right.
What'll happen now is the finished pumping, I suck through, which they've done. They're now just connecting the smaller hose line
Stop pumping there and
back to the fuel line. Once that's all joined up together, they'll release the probe. The probe will be pulled back by success. That'll go back and be recovered. It'll sit right up on the gantry. They'll then detension the span wire, and the 5 or 6 blokes you see on the end of this will take the weight. We'll release the pelican hook down here, and we'll just go ahead and ease it over the side. When they give us the order, they cut the line, and the span wire will drop in the drink.
Thank you very much, Tony.
6150.
6150.
Oh, we'll probably get on the other side, jump there. Come in. Get out! Watch your eyes! A lot of spray when it comes in. Just like this.
6150.
Big run! Oi! Oi!
13 knots. 13 knots headset, sir. Roger, sir.
Engine head 13 and a quarter knots.
Engine head 13, quarter knots, 13 and a quarter knots, head set, sir. C150. Engine head 13 and 3 quarter knots, 13 3 quarter knots, head set, sir.
trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Slowly going forward cause we can't find reverse. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it. Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard.
Hey, did you hear about that Kelly ETC that runs around with tampons in his glove box and he's not even married?
Yeah, well, Canastra always has been a bit of a girl.
Wouldn't want to use his ashtray. Guess where he puts the used ones.
Oh, good God. Get out.
Hey, Murray Farquhar. I'm Wazza Dag.
And I'm Steve Doberman.
And yes, just when you thought it was safe to stuff up on board, well, we're back. Okay?
Okay, and the news in detail. H.E. Harrington hollering to Herbie. New XO, new name. FC for BE. Feathers flushed on flight deck. Max mauls the resistance. And Spud splutters at accusation. Let's talk about spluttering. And we ask if the new yeoman is up to speed.
Thank you, Steve. And now on a lighter note, tonight we also have the Plank Award as usual, and of course, Pam with the weather, Dear Pam with the letter, and Sport with Rex. So without further ado, and straight back to Steve with news in detail. Steve.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it. Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
Star trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Slowly going forward, still can't find reverse.
It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it.
Thank you, Wazza. It seems that it's not only the brand new members of the ship's company who succumbed to the rough weather earlier this week. The most salty sailor on board, El Supremo Ratu Sir H.E. Harrington, was spied on Tuesday in the heads with his feet on backwards. The review at first thought that El Supremo may have been using a new man management technique to make our Technicolor GD sailors feel at home, but we were assured by the ship's resident pusher, Mick Sharkey, that he was supplying El Supremo with buckets full of seasick pills. We at the review, sir, hope that you're feeling better, and we suggest that a few frosty 4Xs next week in Brisbane may help flush the pills out of your system. And as a footnote to this story, we're informed by the phantom yodeler from the sonar flat and his and avid captain watcher, Henry Ford, that this unfortunate malady can strike anyone at any time. Thanks, Henry. We'll all be on our guard. Paraguard, that is. Back to you, Wazza.
Thanks, Steve. Well, the new XO, Lieutenant Commander Les Pataki, seems to have stepped straight into our last XO's Fearnought suit. Word around the traps is that our world's second best XO has been handled a handle that goes well with his penchant for action stations. His new handle, Bongo, was bestowed on him by a person who has the utmost respect of a station, besides we're shit scared of him. The name Bongo sounds very much like the action station alarm. Bong, bong, bong. We at the View are pleased to have you aboard, sir, and we have to say that we're enjoying the work up so far, and we're really looking forward to the battle problem in Brisbane. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Wazza. Our sparkling new man of 1,000 questions, Max the Mauler York, DWare of the Green Empire, demonstrated some of his expensively acquired engineering skills in the launcher console the other night. The review has been informed that the two launcher maintainers, Sprinklers Patterson and Arnold Short Nigger Digby, were showing Max the Mauler the part they suspected was causing the main ornament to act up. Max, being an engineer, decided that he needed conclusive proof, so with all the skill of hand acquired in a university lecture room, he started to beat the shit out of the part with a hand broom. The part, a $3,000 potentiometer, realised it was no use to put up any resistance in the face of Max Smalling, so it gave up. A new potentiometer was obtained and installed. The launcher works, Sprinklers and Arnold are happy, and Max is banned from the console. Back to you, Wazza.
Thanks, Steve. Well, the electrical workshop was yesterday the scene of one of the funniest conversations we've heard for a long time. Apparently, Spud, I guess I'm a dork Murphy, is a bit kinky about Pusser's work boots and hates having his quirk mentioned in public. The conversation between Spud and Dave Chain went like this. Dave, Spud, you got one of my boots on. Spud, no I haven't. Dave, look Spud, one's brand new and the other looks like it's been kicking bricks. Spud, so what? Dave, they're even laced up differently. Spud, that's the way I always do it. Dave, Spud, one size 8 and one size 9. Spud, wait for it. That's the way we issued like that. The exchange was starting to get heated when Joe White, the chief P-rate and oldest P-rate on board, discovered the two combatants and sorted it out. We're pleased to report that Dave now has a matching set of boots and Spud is no longer limping. I guess this will mean all members of 2 mess will have to start numbering their jocks. Okay, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Wazza. Now we got numbers on our jocks. 3 mess might stop stealing them. Closet exo admirer and ace organiser, Killer Carly, has decided to shun the rigours of the lower deck and take on the robe of higher education. We heard that Killer is intending to head for university and an engineering degree. Although Killer doesn't want this information to become general knowledge, we at the Review feel that we should tell our viewers that when they see the FC doing funny things around the ship, he's probably practicing for his entrance exam. Blackout Bedford, the world's best chief stoker, informed us that he was assisting Killer's practice for his manual dexterity test this morning in the COC. Apparently, Killer has been studying the ability of our 3 qualified engineers and so decided that he would test himself on a task with, for an engineer, a higher degree of difficulty. The task, changing the blade in a Stanley knife. Remember viewers, there's 3 parts to a Stanley knife. Unfortunately, the task proved a bit difficult for Killer and Blackie had to fail him. As resilient as ever, Killer is resolved to continue practice in the hope of one day, maybe, becoming a DWO. Back to you, Wazza.
Well, thanks Steve. Well, the vigilant men on the bridge are starting to worry that our new yeoman, Plug-it-in Podmore, may not be quite up to speed with life in the fast lane as yet. Apparently yesterday we were doing a bit of station keeping on HMAS Darwin at a speed of 10 knots. The navigator, good old wrong way Kraus, started to get concerned as Darwin began to draw ahead of us, thinking that her 10 knots may be different to our 10 knots. Well, you know how navigator's mind works, very slowly. Wrong way wandered into the bridge to investigate. To his surprise, he discovered Plug-it-in Podmore leaning on the Go Fast T-bar handle and moving it down past 7 knots. We can only guess that the yeoman wanted some distance between Darwin and us so we could signal her by light to prove that this time the light was plugged in. Nice one, Joe. Well, it's that time of the night again. That's right, the nominations for tonight's Plank of the Week. Alright, the first nomination comes once again and as usual from the wardroom. And it goes to Sub-Lieutenant, no, I'm not a gorilla, Mead. Alright, after being told by the captain to warn the lifebuoy sentry about sea-whiz and the RAS danger, which we all know because of the pipes, is aft end of the flight deck. Sub-Lieutenant Mead informed the lifebuoy sentry not to go aft of the flight deck. That's pretty good really, sir, because aft of the flight deck is a bloody ocean. That's close, but not quite. Tonight we have the honour of awarding the first double plank ever. Alright. It seems that 2 members of the ship's company have got a bit of trouble with nationalities of submarines. The first one, Lady Seaman, yes, I buy my clothes from Kitty Ware's department and Digby, reported this afternoon that a Russian submarine was tailing Darwin because you could see the wake of her periscope. Not to be outdone, Able Seaman, I want to be like Benny Hainsworth, reported the Chinese submarine following Darwin because he could also see the wake of a periscope. This confused the officer of the watch. Alright? This so-called submarine, reported by both these vigilant people, was tailing Darwin at a same distance, doing the same speed and the same course, and lo and behold, A4s were strafing it and dropping bombs on it. Yes, you guessed it, it was a bloody space target. Well, fellas, what more can we say? Yep, but you guessed it. You both. Planks! Back to you, Steve.
Hey, Wazza. What would the review be without a story on our very own football superhero and part-time boat builder, Feathers Chick? Welcome back, Bill. Well, it seems that when Feathers is vertical, he's making news, and yesterday was no exception. Feathers managed to drag himself out of his rack long enough to put on a show for the troops on the flight deck. In an effort to show that minimum manning is no excuse for an untidy workship, Feathers decided to empty his own shit tin. As he struggled to lift the load over the rail, he grabbed the wire frame underneath and gave a mighty grunt as the contents started to spill into the Tasman. The problem for Feathers started when he saw the shit tin plummeting into the briny, and he came to the realization that the wire frame he was holding was detachable. Well done, Feathers. You may have been feeling a bit silly at the time, but at least you scored a round of applause from the guys on the flight deck and a new shit tin for your workshop. And coming up with the weather now is your very own Pamela Puberty. Over to you, Pam.
Thank you, Steve. And now it's the weather with Pamela. As you can see, there is a lack of weather charts tonight. I think it's because the Navigator and the AB Met have been planning our track to Brisbane. I don't know why. It's our 19th bloody visit this year, as the boat should know how to get there on auto. But that's beside the point. Well, the weather. As we know, the start of this week was a bit lumpy and a little bit choppy, but it was okay because we've got a new batch of birdies. Anyway, the weather today improved a hell of a lot. Alright, the seas have flattened right out, but you may have noticed it's our first show since being back, and the wardroom for the spot are rolling the ship everywhere, as usual. They hate us. Alright, the captain has promised, alright, I have it on his official word, the captain's the captain, that tomorrow the seas will be a deep blue and extremely flat like glass. There'll be no cloud in the sky until approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it will rain shit tins. Alright, so in the morning it'll be sunny, in the afternoon and Saturday and Sunday it's going to be a lousy weekend. Alright, that's the weather forecast for the rest of this week. And now it's time for that serious discussion between you and me. It's time for Dear Pamela. Alright, responses have been pretty good this week. We only put out that we had a show on this morning, but it's already out, and I'll read it to you. Dear Pamela Puberty, I am only new on board, and I have a very personal problem, and I was worried that I would have no one to discuss this problem with. But one of the lads in the mess said to write to you, and you would be able to help me. So here goes. My problem is, I think I'm going senile, as I'm starting to forget where parts of my anatomy are located, and I really can't remember what some parts are used for. He's in a bit of trouble, this bloke, isn't he? I think some of my problem is caused by my age, as recently I was awarded a long service medal, and all the crew who were there clapped and cheered, but little did they know, Pam, this was my second one. Okay. I've tried to rectify my problem by reading books on the subject, like Cleo, Dolly Magazine, Women's Weekly, and lately I've even read the RAN, that's Royal Australian Navy for all you greenies, pamphlets such as Know Your Testicles and Why Some Men Squat to Urinate. But Pam, these words are no avail, and the problem is really getting worse, especially in the morning when the mess wakes up and everyone else scratches their balls and I have to rub my eyes as I've forgotten where my balls are. Please, Pam, I really need your advice, and to make matters worse, I'm also nearly bald. Please help. Signed, Desperate. Well, after giving this one deep and considerate thought, all I can say is Petty Officer Yeoman Podmore of Petty Officer's Mess, from the state you're in, I would suggest you smoke heavily, drink to excess, eat salt to excess, because you ain't got nothing to live for. So it's back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Pamela. This is Rex Cockup with Sporting Roundup and a few plugs for future Canberra events. Firstly, the kids' Christmas party. Secondly, sport in Brisbane and Canberra Race Day. Kids' Christmas party, Saturday the 14th of November, combined Sportsman's Club trophy presentation at Lane Cove National Park. It will be a beauty, so don't miss it. The money made from the Canberra Race Day will be used to go towards this great day. The Sportsman's Club presentation will also be made during the day with some good trophies being handed out to those who have played well throughout the deployment and the beginning of the year. Overall, I feel the day will be a great success, with the people on board Canberra trying to be there to participate in all the events with the kids, and of course Father Christmas being there. The Sportsman's Club are putting a hell of a lot into this day with the backing from the S&S department, so let's see a big turnout from the ship's company. Lists are displayed down the mess at the present time for those of the singlies who we need to know if they are attending, and plus if they're bringing someone, so we can work out the victualling for the day. Tonight we had the auction for the 30 horses. It went off really well, with plenty of money being spent on some fine fillies. Congratulations to the owners for the day. The big day will be Tuesday, the Melbourne Cup Day. On Monday, we are auctioning off the Melbourne Cup horses, so make sure you get to the bank tomorrow at what time you have and draw some money out for that. Sport in Brisbane. On Wednesday, hopefully we'll get touch football against Jarvis Bay. It will also be in Brisbane. Softball versus Jarvis Bay. And we have on the Thursday a departmental golf afternoon with 6 per department. And on the Friday, a departmental indoor cricket competition. Department team captains, make sure you get your teams organised now. I'll just remind who are the team captains. ASW Comms, Marty Robinson. Wardroom, Subby Waldy. Engineering, Russ Russell. Electrical, JC Cunningham. S&S, Yogi Lewis. And Gunnery, AIO, Hector Crawford. One plug for one of the guys on board, Structor Humphreys. Congratulations for being selected in the Combined Service Squash team. That's all from me, and I'm going to hand it over to Steve. I forgot his name. Steve.
Thanks, Rex. Anyway, just quickly, we've got a few ads before we go tonight. That's the best bets. There's plenty of them around, so get them. They're out. Welcome to all the new draft-ins. Hope you've had a pleasant couple of weeks. And congratulations to all the newly marriedies. So congratulations to you. Birthdays. Happy birthday to Don Juan King. He was 23 last week. ABFC Bailey is 25 tomorrow, you old bugger. And Pato is 23 yesterday. 23. Yeah, and we're at the review. Do drink anything. Absolutely anything. Alright, thanks very much for filling in for me, Feathers, while I was away. But from what I hear around the studio, don't give up your day job. Okay. Anyway, you get more time on air than anybody else does. Okay, it's fine to go to the ship's ball and have a great time, but you have to pay for it, okay? So next payday is the last chance for outstanding payments. See Chief Hardy. And we've got a sale. Yes, this is a paid-for advert. Our fee will be negotiated at a later date. Yes, folks, this brand new Inter-Video VCR VHS thing. Look at this. Okay, that's for sale from the PO's mess, and it goes to the highest bidder. And I wouldn't buy it, but you might like it. Okay, and that's it. That's the way we saw it this Thursday, the 29th of October, 1987. Good night.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it. Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow.
Star trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Only going forward, still can't find reverse.
It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it.
Welcome to the 02 night before the Cup Day Punters Corner, starring the three best tipsters in the Shire of Canberra. We have sitting in the studio Rugby Ron from Best Bets, Honest Harry from the Canberra Times, and Odds on Ends from The Truth. Welcome, gents. The track tomorrow looks hard and fast, with a little breeze expected in the afternoon. Remember, the track opens at 11:30 with a barbecue lunch, followed by a full day of racing. And of course a fashion parade, stakes, so be part of it and be out there for a fun day of racing. I'll hand it back to the studio and we'll go on and ask our talented punters who they think are going to win the events tomorrow. Race number 1, the Brisbane 4X Stakes. I'll ask you, Rugby Ron from Best Bets, who do you think will win on the day?
Race 1 contains my best bet of the day. Call Me Stewart. It's owned by Scott Christie. He didn't pay a fortune for it when he bought it. However, I really think this horse can win. It comes from a very, very good stable. It's good staying lines, and I think it's by far the best bet of the day. And to run second, I'll select Grubby Subby.
Thanks, Rugby. I'll have to go against you there, mate. I've picked Lost Anchor today because, as last week, Lost Anchor was carrying a lot more weight than Call Me Stewart, and I'll have to go for Lost Anchor, as this week he's got Windy Wyndham on, and last week it was carrying Smouch Smith. So as you see, it should win by about 50 lengths.
Thanks, Honest Harry. Yeah, I go against you, Ron and Harry. I'm going for Cocktail Party. He's been really cutting a lot of grass lately with scorching along. To win in a photo from Grubby Subby. That's if Grubby Subby can start cleaning up his act. I've also, as you said, Ron, Call Me Stewart should start odds on, but I'm going to make him the lay of the day because usually when you do call for Stewart, you can't find them. So I reckon Call Me Stewart will probably tail the field home. Back to you, Rex.
Thank you, guys. That was Rugby Ron, Honest Harry, and Odds on Im's bets for race 1. My pick for race 1, Weird Hair, Owner Blue Hedger. Okay, race 2, the COC handicap. I'll hand it over this time to Honest Harry to see what he has to say on the COC handicap.
Thanks, Rex. Well, I've got a real good bet today here. It's Chef's Claim. It's been, I hear from the connections, it's been burning up the tracks, and I've picked Zodiac second, as the trainer says it has got a lot of stamina, but I think Chef's Claim will have too much for it tomorrow.
Thanks, Harry. I also go for Chef's Claim. It's the best bred horse in the field by out of no fingers, and with Flash Forrester being part owner, he should run well. Will Spencer will be coming out at full power at the end, but won't quite catch Chef's Claim. Over to you, Ron.
Thanks, Odds on. I select Zodiac as the winner of this race. I think he's got the form on the board. He's only been beaten once this year in a company. It's Rick Wakefield own. I think if it lines up and get out of the ruck early, it'll clean him up, no troubles.
Okay, it's back over to Ron here. I think I'll go for Zodiac as well. Only having lost one race all season during the spring carnival. So my pick, Zodiac. Race number 3, Captain's Champagne Derby. Big prize money in this one. I'll go for El Silver Elms, owner M. Collins. We'll start off with Odds on Ims to give us his tip for that one.
Thanks, Rex. Well, I did notice there is a logical tip in this. I noticed Al Silver Elms actually speaking to the commanding officer this morning up in the bridge for about half an hour. I don't know what they were saying, but Al Silver Elms is the logical tip in this. Action Stations, well, his form's been reasonable of late, but we must put him in as a good each-way chance to come second.
Thanks, Odon. What can I say? Harrington's Heroes. We've done it in Brisbane, guys. We'll do it. This horse will do it again tomorrow. It's owned by the Chefs, and as we mentioned earlier on, with Flash at the helm, it must be a good show. To run second, I pick Pressure Down from the Wilson Syndicate.
Thanks, Rugby. I'll have to agree with Odds on there. Our Silver Realms out of Cyril by Alert 15. It should be flying home at the finish. And second, I put in Lost Again by Navigator, son of Jacko.
Well, they're the picks from the guys there, so make sure you have plenty of money out at the track tomorrow. VD Stakes race number 4. I'm going to hand it over to Rugby Ron to give us his picks on this one. He was seen at the track the other morning at Flight Deck Valley and saw some good horses out there in the morning. I'll hand over to Ron.
Thanks, Rex. Well, this here's my each way special for the day. This is Skid Marks out of Shit Himself, Brother to Speedy. He's improved greatly since last in Sydney and last in Adelaide also, when he didn't do too bad there. And I think, you know, since he's quietened down, if he can, you know, get out of the maul in the ruck early, he'll be pissed off, no hassle.
Thanks, Rugby. I'll have to go for Arsehole in this race. I've heard from my connection that he's been working overtime in the King's Cross course proper. It's been going real well. Second, I'll put in Skid Marks, but I think the weight will be too much for him tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Rotten Again will win race 4, especially if it's wet. Rotten Again will probably just fall in by a couple of drips. It's exceptionally well known from Manila Lass out of Firehouse. Now, with a mother and father like that, you can't go wrong. And Aids will be coming home very strongly, especially as born and bred at Oxford Street.
Well, there you have it once again. Some good tips for the people out there watching. We'll move along now to race number 5, the LN Pataki Golden Slipper. As you can see in front of you on the screen, the LN Pataki Golden Slipper trophy will go along with some good prizes around about the $200 for first prize in this event. I'm going to start off with Honest Harry to tell us a little bit about this event.
Thanks, Rex. Last week, Fridge Flat ran second to Call Me OD, but as we know, the weather being so hot, it just didn't suit Fridge Flat. Tomorrow's weather's looking like being a lot cooler. So I think Fridge Flat should beat Call Me OD in a very tight finish.
Thank you. Well, this is race 5, the second race, or second last race of the day. I think the track will be cut right up. And I've selected RAS because it'll need a real lot of eons and ions to get it going. And it's owned by the Tame Syndicate, and I think it'll just edge out Sick Bay Jockey.
Thanks, Rugby. I'm expecting a very big run soon from a horse called the Three Amigos. It's been running in the form, but I think in the next couple of starts, especially tomorrow, it's ready for the big one. And it's a pure thoroughbred. Just on pedigree alone, it stands out as the best bet on the program. RAS might come home for second, but if you're coming into the 5th race, put it all on the Three Amigos. We'll win and win easily.
And it's back to Rex here in the studio. Well, you've seen it all here tonight. You've seen you've heard from the fellas here. They know all about the horses. They know what they're talking about. So put your money on their tips. I'll tell you. Melbourne Cup, race number 6. The big one for the day. Well, not so big. The Canberra Cup is a little bit bigger, but the Melbourne Cup, first $450, second $150, third $100, and last horse $20. I'm going to start off the tipping this time with odds on Ims. Terry, tell us what you think about this race.
Regimental March will win by at least 4 or 5 lengths. He's been running into a good form lately. They scratched him from Saturday's weight because it was a bit hot for him, but he will be the fittest horse in the race and will beat Lord Highbrow, who will also be coming home very well, with Kenzai just plugging on into the straight. Kenzai is an up-and-coming horse, but he hasn't got what it takes at the moment. Rosedale, the favourite, will probably be called the winner. About 200 metres to go, but seeing that he is born and bred in America, and you know what Yanks are like, will run out of puff in the last 200 metres and probably come last. All those people who got Rosedale in the sweeps, you'll probably get your money back for coming last.
Thanks, Odds On. Well, I've put Regimental March in my 3 first horses, so I put in for third. I think Argonaut Style, you haven't seen the best of him yet in his last 4 races after a spell, and tomorrow you will. I put in for first, and second a dark horse, I think the Brotherhood. It's a Sydney horse, and it is a known long distance horse, and Regimental March for third.
Thanks, Harry. Tomorrow's Melbourne Cup's a very, very ordinary affair, and it's very difficult to pick winners, so really I'm just going for omens at this stage. I think the stock market crashing last week, there's 2 horses in it that are owned by Packer. He's lost the most. I'd say he's got the most to win tomorrow. 2 of his horses are ridden by 2 of Australia's top jockeys, Darren Gorsey and Mick Dittman. That's our Palliser and Regimental March. So I'm going for that Quinella.
Well, it's back to Rex once again. My picks for the Melbourne Cup, remember this from Rex: Kenzai, Cool, Rocking Daddy and Balciano will be the top 3 for tomorrow. Moving along for the top race of the day, the Canberra Cup. You've heard all the tips. The winners out of all the previous races plus the Melbourne Cup go into the Canberra Cup. So you've had it all. You've seen it. You've heard it. Now it's up to you guys to put the money on at the races tomorrow at Canberra Valley. Yes, we've got a few more comments coming up here, so I'll hand it over to Rugby Ron.
With late scratchings, Rex, what's the story there with the
late
sweats?
scratching?
Money refunded or?
Money refunded, yeah, of
money
course.
Refunded, folks.
Just to add to that a little bit on the betting situation tomorrow, there will be 3 bookies, myself, Ron and Harry. The maximum bet will be $5 and the minimum bet of 50 cents. We're going to start off with the maximum odds of 5 to 1, so you can bet each way, but your horse is going to have to come first or second. In the Melbourne Cup, Rugby Ron will be running the only book. Now it will be cash and it will be starting prices only up to a maximum price of 33 to 1 and also a maximum of $5 each way and a minimum of 50 cents each way. Back to you, Rex.
Well, thanks once again, gents. Thanks for coming along to the show. I'll see you at the track bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks very much. Just one more thing before we close down the studio. We have, when we arrive in Brisbane, we have the big golf tournament which will be held at hopefully the Royal Brisbane Golf Course. The 3 trophies situated on the table. We have the nearest to pin award, we have the longest drive, and of course the last one being not a golfer's arsehole award. Hopefully everyone will be in attendance. 6 golfers required from each department or division. We also have the indoor cricket with 8 personnel required. So let's get right in there amongst the sport this weekend, and we'll all see you at the races tomorrow. And it's back to the studio.
Stay well, folks. HMAS, that's your number, so 4 women, yeah, Kilo 9 Quebec, over. Kilo 9 Quebec, dedicate to Charlie Romeo, over. Okay, coming up. Kilo 9 Quebec, 1 7 on port 3 POV.
ready now, 3 lanes. Kilo 9, Quebec 1, runway 46 loose, established expiry time 30. So we'll be second part of 40. Option 4 weather is now passing control to Alpha 4 Oscar. And control of Alpha 4 Oscar to see whether he requires you over. Kilo 9, Quebec 1, Roger, will remain as control advice over. Kilo 9, Quebec, Roger. See, how nice. Just down. Alpha 4 Oscar, Kilo 9, Quebec 1, for exercise I carry 2 blood out 4 6s. Roger, 2 4 6. Alpha 4 Oscar, Foxtrot 4. Alpha 4. This is Foxtrot 4, Roger, party to keep calling my unit, 2 miles an hour. Alpha, Roger, Quebec 1 copy. Quebec 1 copy. This is Alpha 4 Oscar. Hold your party on my budget because you take control. Kilo 9 Quebec, Roger, I have control on Kilo 9 Quebec 1. Kilo 9 Quebec 1, steady 270. Roger. Start swinging down now. Drop low out, forward. Kilo 9, Quebec 1, for exercise 1 down 46 loose, dog box established, expiry time 47. Alpha 4. This is Alpha 4 Oscar, dog box 5, out. Kilo 9 Quebec 1, dog box marked with smoke. This is Alpha 4 Oscar, cold. 192, Alpha 4 Oscar, range 66, up. Sonar contact there is 243, call sign Kilo 9 Quebec, range 66. Tracking 180, indicating 10, out. Kilo 9 Quebec 1, Kilo 9 Quebec, continues starboard 350. Kilo 9 Quebec 1, starboard 350. Calling Quebec 9-1, execute plan red cordon, sectors. Roger. Half mile run, stand by orders. Quebec 1. line, Quebec 1 for exercise 1 by 46 loose, stop box established, expiry time 5-3. Kilo line, Quebec. Correction, 5-6. This is Kilo 9 Quebec, over. This is Alpha 4 Oscar. Kilo 9 Quebec, Kilo 9 Quebec 1, ground estimating you in Quebec, press knuckles. Kilo 9 Quebec 1, we are 3157 at 17, wind red 3027, pitch 215, Q8 2016, Canberra radar approach. Kilo 9 Quebec 1. Fast, come around. Okay. Kilo 9 Quebec 1 for filming purposes. We'll just make one pass before I land on Earth. Kilo 9 Quebec Tower, roger. Check that pitch. Just look like 2 degrees. What's 2 guys there? Thanks. Thanks, engineers. Well, I managed to do that just as we get out of the deck. Somebody's not talking. Okay, what I found out.